I'm not that surprised to see Devin Haney doing it, right? Because you have all of these young fighters at lightweight, around lightweight, and he's like kind of the smallest name out of all of them, right? And I'm sure that he feels like he should be getting more respect. He should be getting more hype. He is the undisputed champion at 135. And I'm sure that, it rubs him the wrong way that, I mean, okay, Tank is one thing. Tank has a nice resume. Tank has a big following. Tank's a little older than he is. He's been doing it a little longer. Okay. I'm sure it rubs him really wrong that Ryan Garcia has a much bigger following. People think he ducks fights. He's not really serious about it and all that.
He's a social media boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got a huge following. And Devin Haney, I would imagine, is looking at him like, that's not right.
Yes, Ring Kings podcast is back. We are back with another episode. We are coming to you on YouTube, also anywhere that you listen to your audio podcast, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, all that good stuff. We are there. So make sure you hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, go ahead and leave that 5-star review right now. I know you haven't heard the episode yet, but just go ahead and we promise you, we're good for it. Okay. Leave us a 5-star review. Just hit it. All right. And don't even worry about it. But
hey, shout out to Good Pods. I don't mean to cut you off.
Shout out to Good Pods. No. That was a good cut. Shout out to Good Pods, our friends over at Good Pods. Okay. You guys love us over there. Okay.
Yeah.
We are trending. We are ranked. We're in top 25 on here and Lunch Break Hot Take. That is our other sports channel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are making things happen. All right. So be a part of it. If you just find us for the first time, you just go ahead and hit that follow button. All right. And you'll get those notifications when we come out with new episodes. Episodes drop every Monday, guys. Every Monday we're dropping episodes. So that's when you look for it on the audio podcast and on YouTube. You can set your notifications on YouTube. Okay. But yes, I am Jose. That's B right next to me. And right below is Mr. OTR Mike. So fellas, how we doing today?
Doing pretty good. I mean, I feel like, we're trying to grow it. Like you said, we're on YouTube. We're on all the audio podcast sites and everything. And it's really us versus the algorithm at this point.
Yes.
But I feel like maybe we should just call out some other boxing podcasters instead. Instead of working on our thing, let's go ahead and call out somebody else. And make that
I see where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe instead of putting in the work on our current channel and our current episode,
I'm gonna say, you know what? Rock, get in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot to say. Hop in. Okay. It's not about what we got going on with YouTube and Apple and Spotify and all that. It's about Rock right now.
Yeah. It's about our listeners. It's about maybe some other YouTubers. Shout out to Rebel Life Boxing. Okay, he's somebody that subscribes to us, right? What if we just call him out, right? Let's just not worry about our own stuff. Let's just call out Rebel Life Boxing. Shout out to you, by the way, man. You're doing your thing over there. What are some other boxing podcasts out there? Ego, Boxing
Blue
Ego,
Bloods, right?
Blue Bloods. Yeah.
You know
Boxing
what?
Voice, right?
Let's go for the big dogs. Let's go for the Porterway podcast. We coming for them.
That's right.
I for one, I know others have been saying this, but I for one am wondering why Sean's ducking us.
Yeah.
Why he ain't having us on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we
saying.
calling him out. I don't understand. Like, why isn't he responding? Right. So what if we're not even nano influencers yet? I mean, we called you out, right? All right, we're being sarcastic, guys. We're being sarcastic here because the title of this episode is Sell your fights. Okay, call out in boxing. We're seeing a trend, a dangerous, reckless trend, fellas. All right, ladies and gentlemen that are listening, of boxers not selling their fights, looking ahead to future fights that aren't going to happen anytime soon. And look, man,
Trying to make their name off of somebody who already made it without actually getting in the ring with them.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So as of this recording, right? This is October-ish. I'm not gonna give the exact date because not sure when it's gonna come out. But we already had Ryan Garcia, his fight with Javier Fortuna, and the whole time he's talking about Tank Davis, right? Now, maybe they might fight, maybe they won't. We don't know. While that's going on, you have Devin Haney calling out Ryan Garcia, saying, "Hey, don't be trying to make a name off of another man. Sell your fight." Then Devin Haney turns around and he's doing the same thing, calling out Tank, saying he'll fight Tank in December, and he has a fight this month, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has a fight this month, and I haven't heard anything about it. Right, the first fight with Kambosos, I thought they did a good job selling it. Both fighters, I was pretty excited about it. Now, look, he dominated Kambosos. I think it's going to be as much of the same thing, but you still have a fight to sell, and I haven't we're talking about weeks. We're talking about weeks when this fight is supposed to happen. I haven't seen any. I assume they had press conferences. I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't seen any tweets, but I've seen a lot of talking between Devin Haney and his father, Bill Haney, and Tank in his camp. And that's just not the way to sell your current fight, right?
Add another name. Him and Shakur. Him and Keyshawn Davis. Like he's been talking about everybody else but Kambosos.
Right.
So.
Right. One, it's look, show some respect to the fighter that's in front of you, right? No, I don't think he has much to worry about with Kambosos, right? But you never know.
But that's how you lose fights like
that's that. Yeah, exactly. That's how you lose. So that's one. And two, man, this is a business, right? Maybe you're not that interested in this fight, but this is the fight that you have in front of you. You have to make the most of it. You want to market it as much as you can. You want to put on a good show. So it keeps your name in the headlines. So when you are trying to get that fight with Tank or Shakur and you're negotiating, you can come to the table with something, because that's all that Leonard Ellerbe talks about with Tank is that, look, I recognize these other fighters are really good fighters, but the numbers got to show it, right? The numbers got to make sense. Of course, Tank wants to get a fight done with Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia draws a huge crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them together can sell really well. Is that going to be the same for Devin Haney and Tank? Like, yes, for us, right? We follow it a little bit closer. Sure, we'd rather see that fight, but we always talk about it. The casual fan, right? They're the ones that count. Do they recognize Devin Haney enough to say, yeah, quality fighter, Tank, quality fighter, I will pay my money to go watch them?
No, casual fans don't recognize Devin Haney, and that's why you don't have to pay to see this fight. It's on ESPN.
Yeah.
This Kambosos fight. And he knows that. And that's why he was willing to take less money and go to Australia and fight and sign a 2-fight deal to fight him in Australia again to defend the belt, after he won. He knows that he has to build up his name, but calling out Tank and trying to make it seem like he's afraid of you when you don't even have the option of making that fight is not the way to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm surprised that Devin, and we had this conversation offline when it was happening. Like, wait, didn't he just get on Garcia and called him out about doing, hitching his wagon to other fighters to sell his fights or to bring attention to who he's fighting or whatever? So, a little surprised. But as you said, B, like he's got to do something, because this fight, we all know after the first one, we knew the second one was going to be a hard sell. And I think he was trying to avoid, if he could, he would have avoided the second one. Right. And I think across the board, they wanted to avoid it. Even Bob Arum and Top Rank, they don't want this fight because it's going to be hard to sell. It's going to be one of those things where they're going to spend more money than they're going to make. right? But it's a little tacky, and I don't want to just focus on Haney because it's a you got some serial offenders
Yeah.
who've been doing this lately. Haney is just the one that I'm surprised to see this happening, um, especially after calling out, Mr. Garcia.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, I'm not that surprised to see Devin Haney doing it, right? Because you have all of these young fighters at lightweight, around lightweight, and he's like kind of the smallest name out of all of them, right? And I'm sure that he feels like he should be getting more respect. He should be getting more hype. He is the undisputed champion at 135. He's got all 4 belts after he beat Kambosos. And I'm sure that, it rubs him the wrong way that, I mean, okay, Tank is one thing. Tank has a nice resume. Tank has a big following. Tank's a little older than he is. He's been doing it a little longer. Okay. I'm sure it rubs him really wrong that Ryan Garcia has a much bigger following, because Ryan Garcia, a lot of boxing fans kind of look at him as a little bit of a joke.
Right.
Right or wrong. I don't think that he's a joke in the ring, but that's kind of the persona that he has. People think he ducks fights. He's not really serious about it and all that.
He's a social media boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got a huge following. And Devin Haney, I would imagine, is looking at him like, that's not right. I imagine he looks at Jake Paul and says, why is this dude outselling me? He's not a real fighter. He hasn't fought it. He doesn't even fight. He doesn't even get in the ring with real fighters.
Right.
And so I'm sure it's frustrating, but there has to be another way. And especially when we're talking about you're calling out Tank, not only do you have this fight, against Kambosos, but according to your promoter, your next fight is set too, and that's also not Tank. You're going to be fighting Vasily Lomachenko. So, I mean, I think he's probably looking at a situation where maybe he thinks Arum kind of wants the belt off of him and onto Vasily, and he's trying to do whatever he can to build up his own name and try to gain some leverage. Get the fans on the side of a Haney versus Tank fight and see if he can kind of force that and move away from the Lomachenko thing, maybe. But like I said, and like you said too, Mike, it looks kind of tacky to be, that disrespectful to Kambosos, professional to professional. But also it seems like you're just kind of looking past the fight and not, I don't want to say he's not prepared. I'm sure he's preparing for it, but it gives that impression that you're not really worried about it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it too. Like, we talk about how it gets under the skin that you have Ryan Garcia that's more popular. You have Jake Paul that's more popular, right? And he's looking at like, I'm far superior to these guys. Why am I not getting the same popularity? I think it's time for all these boxers to start assessing what it means to sign with a promotion company, because right, you sign with a promoter because they're supposed to promote you, right? And that was the thing, you sign with these big promoters because they can get your name out there, they can make you a star. But look, Bob Arum is like 108 years old, right? Maybe he doesn't know how to promote you the way you need to be promoted in today's world, right? And maybe somebody like Jake Paul, who has his own promotion company, by the way, understands how to sell events, right? Because boxing is an event. He knows how to sell events better than Bob Arum. Maybe that's the case, right? Maybe that's kind of what we're seeing. Maybe Ryan Garcia, and I mean, look, I would say he's with Golden Boy still, but I mean Ryan Garcia is his own. He's his own force now. Like, him and his people know how to sell things better, right? Maybe it's time to start looking at the overall picture. And I'm not just harping on Top Rank. I mean, PBC, all of them, right? I think they can start looking at what the Paul brothers are doing, and say, okay, maybe this is an area that we're neglecting, and we have to spend more time doing that, so our fighters don't feel like they have to go out of pocket and make things happen on their own, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. I will say, we talk about the promoters and them doing their job. This is something we talk about a lot with UFC because they do not they don't even attempt to push a lot of their fighters, right? In boxing, you have each boxer has a promoter, and generally speaking, they do a decent enough job kind of getting those guys' name out there, protecting their career, and kind of shepherding them along, and making sure that they make the most money with the least amount of risk and that kind of stuff. But it's not all on the promoter, right? Some of it is on the fighter themselves. You have to go out and make. Or you have to take fights. You have to take and win fights, right? Devin Haney, I mean, he showed that. A lot of respect for Haney going over to Australia and fighting Kambosos in his hometown.
Yep,
we had talked about it before. Didn't think he could win a decision over there. I mean, he kind of left no doubt, but
right.
it was still a difficult thing to do, right? But there's another guy who is spending a lot of time kind of publicly pining for a mega fight, but is just apparently not willing to do anything to make that happen. And that's Jamal Charlo.
Wow.
He
Why
wants
we gotta
Canelo.
take shots at the Charlo? I thought you were gonna say Rolly.
Rolly had a big fight. He just
Rolly is one of the. So Rolly's situation is weird because he isn't. Like, he doesn't call out other boxers to sell the fight, his current fight, but
He just trolling.
Yeah, he trolls, and then yeah, man. And then when they say, "Well, yo, you fight him," and then he'll say, I don't want to waste my time on him. I'm going to fight Tank. Like, he even said he wanted to fight Errol Spence. Like, come on.
Listen, that tweet that I read before we came on air. Have you ever typed a message and then looked at it and said, "Why am I so funny?" That is Rolly, but like in real life. Yeah. My man cracks himself up. But no, I'm talking about Jamal Charlo and wanting the Canelo fight. Jamal Charlo he recently said he wanted the winner of Canelo and Triple G. Okay, you're a champion at 160, right? Canelo is the undisputed champ at 168. So you should be on the move, essentially, if you want that fight. Move up and make some things happen and force that fight. If you're going to stay at 160, you should have fought Triple G already. You should have fought Andrade already when he was at 160. Benavidez had talked about moving down to 160 to fight Charlo. I don't see that fight getting made, right? So, and it's a certain point, it's like, why are you looking at Canelo and saying, I want that fight, when you're not really willing to make any of the available fights for you in order to put more pressure on Canelo? Because that was one of the available packages for Canelo. It was Charlo and Benavidez or Bivol and Triple G. And Canelo chose to go and fight Bivol at 175, essentially then kind of challenging himself, moving up to light heavyweight, going after a champion and seeing if he could win that fight, kind of, daring to be great, as they say. Because there was no reason to fight Charlo and Benavidez. They haven't made it urgent that Canelo take those fights.
Right. And me and B have gone back and forth. I'm a huge Charlo fan. I love, Jamal and Jamal Charlo. I'm fans of both of them, right? And I do think Jamal could really give Canelo a tough fight. Benavidez too, to be honest, right? I think those were the tougher matchups. But I can respect the fact, like, look, the Bivol thing. Bivol is not a widely known person, but Triple G is a huge name, and you're going to sell fights with that name. Now, I know people were getting on how much he sold on this fight. It was significantly less from the first two fights that they sold. But what would the number have been with Charlo or Benavidez? I don't know. I know they wouldn't have sold more, right? Like, he went for what was more profitable. Bivol, he ended up losing, but yes, I would have. I think the tougher competitions would be against Charlo and Benavidez. But at the same time, look, I can't defend this. I'm pulling up Jamal Charlo's box rec, right? Here are his last few fights. Juan Macias Montiel, right? Nothing special there, right? Won by unanimous decision. Guy's 22-4 at the time. I think he's 22-5 now. Sergey Derevyanchenko, Derevyanchenko, 13-2 at the time, right? Dennis Hogan, 28-2-1 at the time. Brandon Adams, 21-2 at the time. Matvey Korobov, 28-1 at the time. Hugo Centeno Jr., 26-1. Like, I mean, nothing special here. Some of these guys are solid, but like there's nothing. The last name that sticks out to you was Austin Trout, right? That's a name you hear and you say, oh, okay, yeah. That was in 2016, right? So what on your resume sticks out for you to say he's ducking anybody? Like Canelo's ducking this man, right? Like, those are strong words. And I'm a Charlo fan. I would like to see him see those guys fight. But what has Charlo done to demand that fight? Charlo could have been fought Triple G, right? He could have fought Triple G and then not even made that an option for Canelo, right? Yeah, like we say, he could have fought Andrade. He could fight Benavidez still. Like, there's a lot of options for Jamal to really put his name out there, and I understand it. Like, that's the big ticket right there. Canelo, you want payday, you want that payday, right? Like Canelo says. I get it, but that can't be your only focus, man. Like, you're trying to build a legacy too, and there's some fights out there for you to go and get. You gotta go and get them until you can really force that fight to happen.
Yeah, man. Something gotta happen with him. Is it him or is it Jamal or Jamel that's kind of been calling out Crawford too, or telling him to move up to 154?
Jamel.
That had to be Jamel. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm a fan of the Charlo twins. I don't know what to say about his situation. I mean, I think he calls these guys out in a roundabout way. We still haven't seen it. I've kind of given up on him and Canelo. I mean, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I also agree with Canelo when he said, fight each other. Like, the two names that y'all got me tied to, fight each other and then fight me. You know, so it's like, I'm with him on that. Like, some of these other fights has to happen. There's an in-between fight, and they can be good fights, right? I understand, like you said, Canelo saying that payday, but I think there's solid fights that could lead to those payday fights. So, Charlo, I mean, he's on the list, right? He's on my list as serial offenders, but he's kind of low on my list as that guy. I think he just talks the talk. Right. But you got some other ones that, you know, this is a every
habitual
month. Yeah, this is every month for some folks, depending on who's fighting. So
I guess I gotta disagree that Benavidez and Charlo were the more difficult fights. I think, you know, Bivol in and of himself made that path the more difficult path because he's a bigger, stronger guy than Canelo himself. You know, and the opposite is true with Charlo. You know, he's a smaller guy. He's not a guy who would be able to stand up to Canelo the way Bivol did.
What I don't agree with is, I hear you because Bivol ended up beating Canelo, but Canelo didn't fight his game, right? Like, none of us think that Bivol will win in a rematch. I don't think we feel that way, right? I think we watched that fight and we saw Canelo fight as if he can walk a bigger guy down, and it didn't work out that way, right? I don't think he would fight Benavidez and Charles the same way, right? So I think it would be more difficult. Like, I think he recognizes the skill of those guys more than he recognized Bivol.
I don't know. I think he would. Like, that's been his way for a while now. That he's the bigger, stronger guy, and he's like, I'm going to break you down over the course of these 12 rounds, no matter what. I think that's exactly how he would have fought Charlo. I think he would have gotten in the ring with him, and he would have stalked him around the ring.
I think that would have been profitable.
He would have just hit whatever he could hit, and eventually he would break, like his other opponents have. Yeah, that's what people. But
that's why I disagree. I don't think he will break down Charlo. I think Charlo, if he tried to fight Bivol, if he tried to fight Charlo the way he fought Bivol, that'd be a problem for him. Charlo would just outbox him. All right, like he would have to use his boxing skills.
I don't know
Charlo.
that Charlo would be able to keep him off of him all night long and avoid his punches. Like Bivol didn't get hit. Like Canelo was not able to really hit him. He wouldn't have that problem with Charlo. But it doesn't really matter. It's neither here nor there because we don't really know how good Charlo is because Charlo won't test himself, right? Sergey's a good fighter. Austin Trout's a good fighter. I'm not saying he's fought a bunch of bums, but he hasn't fought anybody on that top tier. So,
it's time for him to make the next step. And Kazakh style is a great opponent to test to test himself with. There are a ton of fighters for him to fight, and I think he's going to do it. I don't think Jamal's ducking anybody. I think he's been fixed on that big money fight, but.
Yeah, again, like we've said this a lot of times. These guys are all professionals. They've all been doing it for a very long time. They're not afraid of anybody.
Right.
But he wants the Canelo fight. He wants to get paid.
Yeah. And
I can see not wanting to fight Golovkin. That's a more dangerous fight with less reward. Than some of these other fights that he's taking. Not more dangerous than Canelo, but like it's a dangerous fight with less reward because he's not as big a name as Canelo.
But it's more reward than these other guys he's fighting. A lot.
Yeah,
more.
But it's a lot less risk with these other guys.
I think it's time for a quick break because I have something to tell everybody. Okay, before I make this point, ladies and gentlemen, winter is coming. Okay, and if you live on the East Coast like we do, all right, the temperature just suddenly dropped. Okay, like out of nowhere. Just last week, it was in the 70s, and the next thing you know, Friday, it's a murky 59, 60 degrees outside. I ain't gonna do it for you, boy. Okay, so I had to break out the hoodie, break out the sweater, something that's gonna keep me nice and warm. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, okay, I got a hoodie, Mikey's got a hoodie, B's got a hoodie. Okay, they got the Ring Kings merch out there. Okay. What I'm wearing right now, you see a microphone with a fork stuck through it. That represents our other channel. That represents our network, Lunch Break Hot Take. Okay, that's our main sports channel. And Ring Kings is a part of that. All right. You can find all this merch. What Mikey's pointing to, what B has on his head, it's a Ring Kings beanie. You can find all this merch right over here. LBHTShow.com/shop. That's where we have all kinds of goodies. If you're watching, you see our t-shirts. We got some long sleeves, we got short sleeves, we got tanks, we got hoodies. Okay, we got some sweatpants. We got all kinds of stuff on there to keep you warm coming up this fall and winter, because winter is coming. So make sure you stay warm with some Lunch Break Hot Take gear and some Ring Kings gear. LBHTShow.com/shop is where you can find it at. All right. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
And it's the finest of finest material.
Listen, we put some work to make sure we had some higher quality stuff on our website, because we weren't going for that cheap stuff. All right. It holds up, and this has been washed a few times already. It's still, it feels good. I think Triple G is the next best thing if you can't get a Canelo fight, right? Like Jamal was set to fight. Who was he set to fight coming up? It got canceled. I forget the guy's name, but a fight like that, right? Like fight Triple G. And he still has belts. I didn't even know that. Go fight him, get a belt off of him. And if you can win that fight, that will put your name on the map. Triple G's only lost to Canelo, right? He's only lost to Canelo. So even at an older age, right? If you beat him, like that puts you on the map a little bit more. So go and do that fight. Go take some of these other, bigger fights that boxing pundits are talking about, so they will hype you up more. Right, like there's some things that you can do, and hopefully he will start to do that. I don't know what's next for him, to be honest. I don't know what he and his camp have planned, but that needs to be what the focus is.
Well, yeah, and he really can't focus on Canelo because we know that Canelo's not next.
No.
Canelo said after the Triple G fight that he's going to have surgery on his hand. And he's going to take some time off to allow himself to get back to 100%, just to heal, right, to get his body right, and then he's coming back and he wants Bivol. He wants to avenge that loss. So, I mean, you're talking about, I don't know how much time he's going to take off, but he's going to have surgery. Then you're going to have the recovery period. And then he just wants to essentially relax for a while, right? To heal up and get back to 100%. And then he's talking about fighting Bivol. So, I mean, you're not just going to sit around and wait for him. Right. He had the fight against Sulecki. That's the one that got postponed.
Sulecki. Yeah.
But yeah, that's another. No disrespect to Sulecki, but it's another nothing fight, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said, like we don't want to disrespect any of these fighters because we just talked about in one of our episodes how highly skilled these professional fighters are. Man, they are so good. They are so good, right? But it's all relative, though. It's all.
When I say a nothing fight, I mean it's not anything that's going to get you any closer to a Canelo fight.
Yeah. And we got to be honest, right? He moves up to fight Bivol. I think he takes it way more seriously. I'm not saying he wasn't taking it serious before, but I think
it was ego.
Yeah, I think it's a different type of focus this time. And then after, I believe he's going to avenge that loss. After that happens, you have to wonder, is he even going to want to come all the way back down, right? Like, or is he going to want to maybe not necessarily stay at light heavyweight, but stay at a heavier weight, right?
Well, yeah, he's the undisputed champion of 168. I think that after Bivol, he needs to come down to 168 and defend those belts. Charlo, move up. Like Andrade just moved up to 168. He's got a fight there coming up soon. Move up, make a fight with Benavidez, make a fight with Andrade, make yourself, like I said, a more urgent opponent. Put yourself in Canelo's sightline.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't care about you right now. Why? Why would he?
Yeah.
You don't bring anything to a Canelo fight.
Yeah.
Harsh words.
Harsh but true. I don't even see how anybody can debate that. Like, again, we're talking about. I mean, Charlo fans here. I can't debate that. Like, you got to have more on your resume. Like I said, to say that he's ducking you. What have you done to say that somebody's ducking you? And that's somebody that likes Jamal Charlo.
What's going to happen is a comment. Somebody's going to say, "Well, he was willing to fight him, but Canelo took the Triple G and Bivol package." That's what's going on.
He took the easy route. He's ducking. He'd rather fight these people because they're safer fights. Look, man. I'm sorry. Like Triple G just sells more. Like you could say Bivol's a throwaway, right? But Triple G sells more. Like that's
Here's the thing, like people try to say that beforehand. Oh, he was trying to take the safer route. Bivol's not a throwaway. He's a champion at 175. Mm-hmm. He's a bigger, stronger fighter. Just because you didn't think that he would beat Canelo doesn't make it a safer fight. Like he's a very skilled fighter. He's a bigger fighter. He's a stronger fighter. It was a tougher fight. And I think a lot of fans who wanted him to take the other fight because those guys are more recognizable to them, they don't give the credit to Bivol for his skills, for the challenge that he presented to Canelo. Now, fully understand, kind of downplaying the second half of that package. Triple G was a completely unnecessary fight. It was like kind of a money grab type of fight.
Right? That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you fought him twice already. Nobody wanted a third fight, but Bivol was the most difficult out of all four of those fights.
Yeah,
so he took the most difficult fight and the money fight.
Like I said, we'll debate a little bit on the Bivol aspect of it. But even if you want to say, hey, Bivol was a fake champion, he ain't that skilled, and he went up there and took an easy fight. Yeah, because there's more at play for his legacy, right? Mm-hmm. To move up to another division and grab another belt, right? It's like when Roy Jones Jr. did it up at heavyweight, went and beat John Ruiz. Yeah, everybody knew John Ruiz wasn't nothing, right? But he had a belt, right? Did he have the belt? I think he had the belt. Yeah, he had the belt. He won it. You knew Roy Jones wasn't going to stay at heavyweight, but yeah, easy pickings. And you remember him winning belts at heavyweight, light heavyweight, all these he went from all the way middleweight all the way up to heavyweight.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, when Canelo retires, it's not going to be let's just b-ball. It's going to be he was a champion in 5 or 6 weight classes, however
Right.
many it is.
So there's legacy involved there. That's why he did it. Fell short of that goal, but we'll see on the rematch. But that's why that's going to be more appealing than fighting Charlo and Benavidez. Because look, if he went out there and washed Charlo, I don't think he would. Me and B kind of disagree on it. But let's say he did. He went out there and washed Charlo. What will we be saying, years from now? Like, oh, okay, yeah, he beat Charlo, but maybe Charlo wasn't that great after all, right? Because you look at Charlo's resume and like, what did he do?
Yeah.
All right. So you would need Charlo to take on some of these other fights, whether it's before or after the Canelo fight, to really look at that Charlo fight and be like, okay, that was a good fight that he took. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Y'all know what I'm a proponent of. Make these fights happen. I personally feel like I would have liked to see Canelo and Benavidez. But I agree with what you're saying, B. Like, Bivol, not by any stretch, was a throwaway. He's a solid fighter in his own right, bigger guy, and he whipped him. He washed him, in my opinion. So it wasn't a throwaway. And I think the Triple G fight was just a part of the package. It's just, it's tied to who they promoted by too, right? We couldn't have gotten a Bivol Benavidez package.
Right.
The chances of that happening, it just wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
But Charlo does, I think, a roadmap to a Canelo fight would be, let's start with Triple G. Right now, I also agree with you, B. That is a dangerous, less reward fight, but he's got to put himself in some of those situations. I do think it will be a sellable fight. I think Triple G still has a solid fan base.
And he showed enough in the Canelo fight, especially towards the end.
Yeah, and I think if what Charlo is looking for is these big money fights, I think he can make a good amount of money in that fight. But I agree 100% with both of you guys. He's got to make himself more appealing if he wants that Canelo fight. It's a lot of things that Canelo can do, right? That as far as when it comes to opponents. So right now, getting out on his radar, you might be 5, 6, or 7 on that list of possible opponents that could happen for him. So he's got to take a step there and then go ahead and move up and make the fight happen.
And we talked about it before, but Canelo is experiencing the Floyd Mayweather effect right now, where he'd been moving up a little bit and winning titles, fighting champions, winning belts, and fans, you're going to get a lot of fans that way, right? But there's also a certain type of fan that likes to hate the fighters who are on top, and those fans are going to point at anybody they can find that you skipped over and say you're ducking them, you're scared of them, they'll beat you. And it just happens to be there's Charlo and Benavidez. I don't think the majority of people who are talking that even really believe those guys would beat Canelo. And like you said, it was like if he moved down, he moved back down to 168, he ended up fighting Charlo and he beats Charlo, they wouldn't say anything. They would just move on to the next guy. Just like they used to do with Floyd. They would just point to whoever they thought was the next up-and-coming fighter. And when they got beat, they just pointed somebody else, like that first dude didn't even exist.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, all right. So I think we've covered everything.
You can't leave out the number 1 serial coattail rider, dragger, whatever you want to call him. Now you all know this is one of my favorite guys, Mr. Garcia. Mr.
We
Ryan
yes we mentioned him, but we didn't put him. We didn't give him the proper proper attention. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, because I think
friend of the show, if you will.
Right. I think what will happen if we didn't make sure we add him in here is people are going to listen and say, "Oh man, y'all coming down hard on Haney and Haney is just new to this hopping on someone's coattail. You got a professional at this, and it is Ryan Garcia, and I found it very, very, very ironic that as soon as Shakur put his name in to move up to 135, out of nowhere, poof, magically, Ryan Garcia was kind of throwing shots at him in his little tirade on his live video, about how many low blows Shakur threw, and he's good, but he don't have no knockout power. So now all of a sudden he put his name in that hat too. But no, I still want Tank. But yeah, Shakur Stevenson, blah 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 blah. So he is a
he's
master.
like, yeah, but Shakur's smaller.
Yeah, he is a master at doing this, and so I just wanted to highlight that he is number one on my list of that guy who doesn't really promote their own fight.
No,
well, they do it
well,
by calling out somebody else. So.
He is number one. He is public enemy number one when it comes to all this. For
well,
sure.
Shakur is a little smaller, and maybe Ryan feels like his jewelry is safer around Shakur.
Ryan chain snatched.
Yeah.
No. You're absolutely right, Mikey. And my bad, because yes, we mentioned them earlier, and I thought it was kind of understood. But yes, we need to kind of focus on this a little bit, because yes, this is where a lot of it stems from, right? Ryan Garcia has been doing this for years, not taking any real fights, talking trash about everybody. Shout out to our assistant producer over there. Yes. Appreciate you coming through, little Mikey. But like he's going to talk. He's going to do some quick punches, some quick shadow punches for the gram. Right, he'll hit a celebrity in the stomach, right, to show you how hard he punches, and he will evaluate other boxers, critique other boxers' styles and everything like that, but never actually go up against them. He will go in and beat up on somebody and say, "See, that's how you get it done." And he's got the formula down pat. It works. Yeah. It works. We were just joking about the last fight with Javier Fortuna. I was like, you saw the name that was on his trunks. All right, it wasn't OnlyFans, right? It wasn't Squarespace. Shot to Squarespace, right? It was Christian Dior, right? He has some very high scale advertisement on those trunks.
Like if you can get your fan base filled with people who are, one, loyal to you, and two, don't understand what you do, you are living the dream. Because no matter what you do, it's going to be great to them.
Yes,
100%.
And that's what I was saying earlier about Ryan Garcia. I think Rolly is understanding this. I think Rolly is taking a lot out of Ryan Garcia's book. Just troll, but don't fight. If you want to go that route, because look, it does sell, right? And Jake Paul, same thing. All these guys we're talking about, they're following a certain formula. Talk all the trash. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Just keep talking trash, right? Do all of this stuff on social media and build your brand that way. If you see some things there that can translate to your actual boxing career, I'm talking about Haney, right? Talking about Jamal, talking about these fighters that are actually skilled. Well, I'm not saying Ryan Garcia isn't skilled, but I'm just saying like they take their career a little bit more serious, right? Yeah. You have to start looking at who's promoting you and having those conversations and saying, we got to do some things differently, right? Because you got Ryan Garcia that has over 1 million followers on Instagram, right?
More than that, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but it's in the millions. He is a celebrity status. Okay, if you look at how they measure how sponsors, brands
9
measure
million.
9 million, right? So how brands measure like influencers, so to speak, right? They have a number, right? Yeah. Once you cross the 1 million followers on, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, wherever, you're considered celebrity level, right? He's a celebrity. 9 million followers, you're a celebrity. So if I'm talking to Bob Arum, right, or I'm talking to Al Heyman, and I'm saying, look, I'm trying to get that kind of following, right? They need to start investing in social media managers, right? Look at different publicists. Like, that traditional way of selling fights isn't holding up as it used to be, right? So there is something to what Ryan Garcia and Jake Paul are doing. And there's some things that maybe these promotions can take from it, but it shouldn't be up to the boxers to do it. All right. It shouldn't be up to the boxers to do it. And yes, Ryan Garcia is with Oscar De La Hoya, but we all know Oscar De La Hoya, if anything, it's slowing him down. He could probably have 10 million followers if De La Hoya wasn't getting in his way, bashing him every chance he got. Ryan Garcia and his team have mastered this. They've mastered it. But it's time for these other boxers to start holding their promoters more accountable and stop trying to take matters into their own hands, right? You take matters into your own hands by holding the promoters accountable. Devin Haney, don't resign with Top Rank like you just did. Right? Did he just resign with them?
Yeah.
He had like one more fight left. Why are you doing that? You say, no, I'm good. I'm going to be a free agent unless you can get me these fights. Right? Something like that. Even Tank, he was doing all this talking about leaving Mayweather Promotions, right? And then you re-up with them. Okay, well, I mean, Tank is in a better position than most of these guys. He's making more money. But if you feel like you need to be on the level of Ryan Garcia, or you feel like you need to be doing more, then you gotta let those guys know, hey, I need you to promote me like he's being promoted. All right. So, all right, that's all I had. Yes. Good call, Mikey. We had to end it with the Ryan Garcia talk.
Yeah, we couldn't leave our buddy out, man.
Yes, a friend of the show. One of these days, Ryan Garcia is going to do our show. All right, one of these days, we're going to get Ryan Garcia on here, and I think we're going to be best friends.
Maybe he'll run up on one of us in the club or something.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah, he's gonna try to take our chain. But look, we got some merch. Would you like some merch? Please post it on your Instagram, please.
Right.
All right, before we get out of here, any final thoughts from you two?
So that we gonna get this straight, right? So to begin the show, you go first, and then when we end, I'll go first. So, you know what? I get in today's era, right, with social media and things like that, it's easier for these guys to kind of touch each other without touching each other, right?
Yeah.
You can be sitting on your couch with your phone, and you can reach an opponent. In their case, you can reach an opponent and then have millions of people watch what's going on from your couch. And I get what they're doing. It's a new way of selling the fight, but like I said earlier, it's a little tacky, man, especially when you got an opponent in front of you. Some of these the trolling that Rolly does and stuff like that, it's going to work for him. Rolly going to end up making a lot of money in this game because he has found a way to convince people that he's really good, right? And that comes from, and he's not a bad boxer, but he convinced enough people to think that he can beat Tank. And that's what he's going to continue to do with other opponents as he gets in the ring with whoever it may be. Like, he's going to be able to convince enough people to think that he can beat him just by him running his mouth.
I already can't wait for his next fight.
Yeah, right.
I already can't wait.
I mean, I seen, I don't know if it's true, I seen a rumor that he's about to fight Broner. Like, I even though it's Broner, I would watch it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even mind seeing Shakur Stevenson and Rolly fight. Like, I think he wouldn't be a bad fight for Shakur as his first at 135. Like, but that's neither here nor there. And to go against a little bit of what you said, Jose, it is on the promoters to promote these fights, right? We talked about on other episodes how even with Shakur Stevenson, right? How he even complained about Bob Arum not being there to promote his fights sometimes, or the time he walked off the stage and stuff like that. Like they got it. So it is on them to promote the fight, but there is a certain responsibility on the fighters to also promote your fight as well. But I just don't know if I agree with this way. Now, if you calling out a guy, just straight out calling him out because you want to fight him, I'm cool with that. But if you are in the midst of fighting, it's two ways that it's going on. You either got an opponent already and you're calling out another guy because you know you need to sell the fight that you're currently in, or you do the Ryan Garcia way and say you want to fight all of these people. Oh, we sent the contract, and then you spin it, and then we get a Javier Fortuna fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it just never turns into what you're talking. So eventually we got to make those things happen. But yeah, it's a little tacky, man. And I hopefully they get away from it, especially when you got a fighter, when you got a matchup already.
All right, well said. What about you, B? What you got?
You know, we're talking a lot about these guys who. Oh no, what?
What is it?
No, I just pulled up ESPN. Over 120 dead after Indonesia soccer stampede.
Oh no!
Wow.
Mm.
Damn.
Yeah.
No.
Sad news. Sad news. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about these guys calling out other fighters and trying to kind of make their name off of them, and it's primarily Tank. And I kind of feel bad for Tank because he's having people are saying Tank's ducking Haney, Tank's ducking Garcia, Tank's ducking this guy, Tank's ducking that guy, when Tank is the only one who's going out and taking good fights consistently and winning. Devin Haney, yeah, he fought Kambosos. Kambosos is the champion. Of course, you're going to take that fight. He fought a washed up Linares and got hurt badly in that fight. Right. Yeah. Ryan Garcia, I don't think we need to discuss who he's been fighting. But Tank, you can say that these guys aren't top level fighters that he's fighting, but they're all good fighters. He's not taking, like tune ups and just, kind of pass the time fights. Like he's fighting good fighters consistently, and he's putting on great performances, and that's why his name is ringing out more than yours is. So stop calling out Tank and go to work. Go and fight your fights, win your fights, be impressive in your fights, and you'll be just as popular.
I agree. I get the social media thing. I get the calling out, trying to set up a fight for later on and build some buzz, but you still have an obligation to sell the fight that's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sell that fight, promote that fight, because again, this fight that you're about to fight right now, that goes on your resume. So you want to hype him up. You want to say, like, you hear Mayweather say all the time, didn't matter who he was fighting, hell of a fighter, excellent fighter. He's got this, he's got that, like, because he's trying to sell the fight. And he wants you to believe I'm about to whoop up on this very good fighter.
And listen, it's not even a lie. Like we said, to be even in line to get a fight with a guy like Devin Haney, you have to be a very skilled fighter.
Yes.
He's probably more skilled than you, but you have to be very skilled in your own right. So hyping up the guy that you're fighting, and in this case, George Kambosos, it's not a lie. He is that guy. You're just better than him. But tell everybody how good he really is, and then go show them how good you are.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. All right, we will leave it there. Before we get out of here, all right. If you enjoyed this podcast, I want you to go ahead and hit that like button. If you are on YouTube, and if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on audio podcast of your the platform of your choice, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. That helps us out a lot. And also, right above us. Oh, go ahead, B.
Real quick, if you didn't think it was worth 5 stars, just keep that to yourself. Agreed.
And right above me, patreon.com/LBHTShow. That's how you can support this show more if you want to support us. We have 3 tiers, and B will tell you about those tiers real quick.
Yes, we have a $3 tier. It's for general support. It'll get you into our Discord channel. It'll get you into our overtime show that we do every Wednesday after our live show. We have a $10 tier, which will give you the ability to request specific content. If you want to see a article or a video about a specific boxing topic, you can send that in and we'll produce that for you. It'll also get you the custom poker deck that we produced featuring our top 25 fighters of all time from our top 25 5-part series. And definitely check that out if you haven't yet. And then we have the $20 tier, which is a combined tier for this show and our other show, Lunch Break Hot Take, which is our general sports show. We talk about football, basketball, UFC, and whatever's going on in the world of sports. So you get everything that I mentioned, as well as the LBHT crew coin. And again, into our Discord channel, we have a lot of fun every day, and the overtime show where we kind of hang out with patrons after our live show every Wednesday.
All right. That does it for this episode. Thank you for hanging out with us. Oh, and Mikey, I saw Mikey reaching for it. Mikey is holding in his hand. He is the current NFL Pick'ems champion. Okay.
Hope you drop it.
He won it last year. He's very proud of that. Yes. Shout out to this another picture of him right here. Comparing himself to
my son broke off the fork. He broke the fork off.
He saw the fork. He said, "Hey, I need something to eat my food with. Eat my chicken nuggets." Okay. But Mikey still holds it up with pride. Okay. So there may be a new champion crowned this year. We'll find out.
There will be.
Okay.
Yeah, they switched it up on me, but I'm not complaining. I'm just gonna win it.
All right, that does it for this episode. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. We do this show every Monday. Okay, this podcast will come out every Monday. We didn't have a set time yet, but be on the lookout for it. Set your reminders, your notifications, and all that stuff. We got a lot more coming up for you. Also, check out our series. We have 2 series on the channel right now. We have the watch list, which we feature up and coming fighters. I got to upload a few up on the audio podcast so you guys can hear that. And also our first installment of sparring sessions, where we like to answer questions, common questions from the boxing world. So the first one is out, and we're answering the question, why are there so many belts in boxing? All right. So if you want to learn about the history of that and how we got to this ridiculous amount of belts, go ahead and hit a subscribe or listen to that episode. It is out now. All right. But with that, we are getting out of here. Hope everyone has a great night, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.